welcome back to today's episode on the Conference on the Future of Europe. Today's topic is the internal shift from the EU on the way it is supposed to enlarge new countries. We have a colleague with me here, Jules Thomas. In your paper, you're developing the idea that there has been a change in the doctrine relating to the expansion of the European Union. Can you tell us how this is visible?
So, first of all, as you may know, in order to join the European Union, several criteria must be met, mainly political, such as guarantees on democracy or human rights, but it is also necessary to adopt the whole acquis communautaire, which is a set of legal measures already in place within the Union. But above all, the agreement of all the other member states is required. The process is crucial in order to maintain a sense of unity within the Union. In recent years, France in particular has been pushing for more guarantees for the Union in terms of monitoring the applications of countries wishing to join the European Union. The idea is first and foremost to ensure that candidate countries keep their promises in legal terms and do not change courses once certain stages of their application have been passed. This is mainly what I've tried to develop in my paper.
Do you have any idea why the conditions changed to be more restrictive?
The adhesion process is extremely important, as it says a lot about the EU's internal vision. The countries must all agree unanimously to accept a new country. The reform requested by France in the Balkan accession process is particularly revealing of the different philosophies that clash for the future of the European Union. The German vision pushes ever more towards expansion of the Union, whereas France is much more cautious and prefers to slow down the process, or at least to control it much better. The departure of the United Kingdom during the Brexit has considerably altered the balance of power within the Union, and the various measures that were necessary to moderate the economy are no longer necessary. France is taking a much more important position.
In your paper, you took the example of North Macedonia. Why?
Northern Macedonia is a very recent country in terms of European history. The country is quite known for having a whole set of controversies with its neighbors, so mainly Bulgaria and Greece, over identity issues. And as both countries are already in the European Union, this means that the accession of North Macedonia to the EU depends as much on the opinion of Greece and Bulgaria as on the one of France and Germany. And I think that as a result, there is something exciting about studying the political translation of the legal obligations imposed on candidate countries. And this is mainly why I decided to take those examples.
And do you think new countries may be added to the European Union?
In this light, it is important to consider the economic and political state of the EU before any further integration, and in view of the various challenges that the EU will face in 2022. With all the problems related to inflation caused by the crisis of the COVID, it is highly unlikely that despite all its efforts and progress, the North Macedonia will join in the EU in the short term. The evolution of the situation inside the European Union is very interesting because it can be assumed that the expansion process will slow down even more once Albania and Northern Macedonia will be integrated.
If we look at the news, we can see that the President of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, is pushing for the adhesion of Ukraine to the EU. Does it seem realistic on a legal and political scale?
In the short term, this would be contrary to the current values of the European Union and would require a complete political turnaround. Moreover, many European leaders have rejected the idea of Ukraine's immediate integration, mainly for this reason. It's premature and therefore very dangerous. Ursula von der Leyen declaration is more to be analyzed on a symbolic level. As Ukraine is a European country, it is invited to join our continental union. Secondly, even though Ukraine has presented itself as a candidate for EU membership, the country will have to integrate many of legal measures that belong to the existing acquis communautaire, and this is a very tedious task, especially as the acquis is constantly expanding outwards.
And why have you chosen this specific topic? What makes it interesting to you?
Over the years, the European Union has continuously expanded eastwards, and when you get to work on European law, you can't help but notice the map of Europe being engulfed by this big blue blob over time. With the new challenge of this century, Europe faces large numbers of challenges that European politics try to compensate for by bringing the continent together under one banner. As not all European countries are in the European Union, the question arises as to whether the Union is considering the accession of other countries or whether it will remain within its current borders indefinitely. So even though this process has been complicated by new reform, it can be considered that it is still possible to join the European Union, and that expansion remains one of the key means of development of the European for its future. At present, the Balkans are designated as being an objective by Brussels. This is especially true since it is feared that China will use states such as Montenegro as a real commercial bridgehead inside the continent. And it's very symbolical, as the Balkans are always known as being like the powder cakes of Europe, the very dangerous place. So if it gets integrated, everything may be better.
Okay, thank you, Gilles, and we'll see you on next week's episode.